The more you dig down into it, more deeper you go into what's going on, what we're living through right now. It's so down and dirty and so rotten. It's so ugly. It's most people are just like, I can't. There's no way
It
I can
can't be
even.
true, and
Can't be true.
that's what they're betting on. That's what the people that are doing all this corrupt. I mean, it's really crazy how much I've forgotten about all this stuff, because I remember when you just told me about that Maxine Waters video earlier about her when she was on public access talking about Obama. I didn't even remember that. I forgot that when you started describing, I said, that's right. And all this voting machine stuff was going on in 2012.
Then you move forward in
Ah,
this video of her,
ah.
and I'll cut this one in too. We'll watch. I'll put
This
this.
just in, the aliens have landed. They have landed. This just in, right here on our screen. We have the first pictures of life.
Is a lizard beast.
Ah!
This was filmed in
That'd be right.
2013, I guess, or 2012, just after
How old
Obama
is that lady? Because if this, how old? When was this filmed?
2012 or 13.
This lady must be 900 years old at this point, then, because she's
She's
still.
This is the inauguration represented the beginning of his second term.
Yes.
But it also represented the countdown of the end of his presidency.
That's right.
And the reality is, like anything else, you better get what you can while he's there, because look, come 2016, that's it.
Well, I don't know, and I think some people are missing something here. The president has put in place an organization that contains the kind of database that no one has ever seen before in life. That's going to be very, very powerful, and whoever...
In terms of the Organizing for America that he's now shifting to become a 501c4.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that database will have information about everything on every individual in ways that it's never been done before. And whoever runs for president on the Democratic ticket have to deal with that. They're going to have to go down with that database and the concerns of those people because they can't get around it. And he's been very smart. I mean, it's very powerful what he's leaving in place. And I think that's what any Democratic candidate is going to have to deal with.
This voting machine stuff was going on in 2000, dude, all the way back. Is whoever has the most money to give these Dominion people. And now you're telling me that there may even be some rumors out there that one of the Dominion voting people is Antifa?
It's not just a rumor, it's a real deal. This guy is definitely Antifa. There's no way around it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's very
and what's
open.
his name? And he runs the Dominion voting. He is the owner of the Dominion voting thing. Is that what you told me?
He is part owner of the software company that it goes along with the Dominion company.
Part owner of a software company that created the software for Dominion or something? Or?
Yes. His name is Eric Coomer, promoted to voting systems officer of strategy and security at Dominion. He was also listed as the vice president. He's a shareholder. He's from Colorado. He's been removed from the page of directors here recently. And that's just, there's a guy named Joe Altman. He's actually cracked into the Antifa groups in Colorado.
He's a reporter. I think I saw that earlier. He's a reporter named Joe Altman.
All of this stemmed from Joe trying to understand the journalists who are essentially Antifa operatives. And there have been a couple of other really brave people who have infiltrated, like you did, other rings and rackets between Antifa and the media. There was a researcher, an independent researcher, Ian Linehan, who published his own work, because he had infiltrated many of these circles, in a magazine called Quillette, a website called Quillette. And he was zapped off of social media, death threats against him as well. And you really are over the target. I keep saying this about all of the people I've interviewed over the last week. You know you're over the target. And this one is such a sore spot. I mean, it is the key, the collaboration between the Fourth Estate and the violent mob.
Starts off, you've got Eric Coomer. You know, he was later promoted to voting systems officer. He is the guy that has been pinned as the Antifa member.
Okay.
He has also been confirmed as the voting systems officer of strategy and security at Dominion. Just kind of imagine an orchestrator over a symphony. He
I'm
is
reading-
the orchestrator.
I'm reading a little further down right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, check this out. The Gateway Pundits, Jim Holt, interviewed Denver business owner Joe Oldman on Sunday. Oldman, the founder of FEC, Faith Education Commerce United, revealed how he infiltrated Antifa and how during a conversation with Antifa members, he discovered Eric from Dominion was allegedly part of the chat during the week of September 27th, 2020. All right, so that's before the election.
That's before the election.
That's 2 months before the election.
Okay.
Oldman told TGP, what is that?
Gateway Pundit.
The Gateway Pundit, that Eric was telling the Antifa members they needed to keep up the pressure. When one of the callers on a September group call asked, "Who is Eric?" someone asked, "Oh, Eric, he's the Dominion guy." Wow, what? Oldman said that as the conversation continued, someone asked, "What are we going to do if fucking Trump wins?" Oldman paraphrased how Eric, the Dominion guy, responded, "Don't worry about the election. Trump's not going to win. I made fucking sure of that." What? Oldman, who runs the Denver data company, started to investigate Eric from Dominion following the call and came upon Eric Coomer. Let's look at this guy, Jeff. Pull up a picture of Eric Coomer.
We're
I
going
want
to pull up Eric Coomer here. We'll pull up a little
Let's
quick.
pull up a picture of Eric Coomer.
I'll do better than that.
Weiler Bros. Weiler Bros.
But I want you to see this picture.
Ah! What is this?
That's Eric Coomer.
Ah! Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So his mind is, you know, I've seen people get to the point where everything is negative and negative eats at your soul, right? I've seen it happen, right? And I was able to research everything from ex-girlfriends that he has to his parents to, I mean, I did a lot of research. Now, I don't want to bring any family into it because he's responsible for his own behavior. But I'll tell you, it's just there's just a darkness that exists in what he writes. There's a darkness that exists in how he behaves. It's an unhinged, it's unhinged. I mean, I don't know how to put it any other way than, I'm sure you have people in Texas, right? So we can probably go to that one. He loves people in Texas. I mean, he talks about people in Texas as if they're pieces of garbage. I want you to know. So I got access to RFPs. I got access to court documents. I have access to what he did in Arizona in 2019 to implement those voting systems in Maricopa County. The one that we're having a problem with.
Go figure.
That's the one you're having a problem with. That's the one that has leaned Trump dramatically during the election. Now, I have a friend that's a psychologist. I sent it to him first, and I said, "Hey, listen, do me a favor. I want you to review these." And he came back and he says, "That is sociopathic. That is someone that literally does not have a firm grip on reality." So this is the guy that is the director of strategy and security. Now, I'm not a psychologist, so I do ask other people for advice. This is from 2017. And he's in Nevada, by the way. You'll notice that this one is in Hayfrom, Nevada. He's actually sitting in Nevada. What happened in Nevada, Michelle? Do you remember what happened in Nevada, what we're dealing with right now?
Yeah.
Do you know what election machines are can't pass the Benford law study? Nevada.
Yes.
Arizona.
Yes.
Wisconsin.
Yes.
Michigan. Pennsylvania. Georgia.
All Dominion states, but
all Dominion states.
But as you say, this Eric Coomer had patents related to other voting software systems
that are used in other voting systems at other counties.
Yes.
So we're focused in on Dominion. I'm gonna say this on your show. If Eric Coomer's listening, I suggest before they Clinton you that you actually get in and have a conversation with the prosecutors about what's going on. Because I know that based on other things that you wrote here, that the people in your company think the same way you do, because you actually wrote it in your own Facebook page, right? And the amount of hubris that you had to have in order for you to write those things, the fact that you didn't care what people thought, that they'd never catch on to you while you sit in there and they prop you up as the doctor of nuclear physics. That's what they did. They propped you up, right? And you have all these things. You're either the one that's responsible for it, which is what it looks like, or you have other people that need to take the fall with you. And that might lessen the opportunity for you to get the death penalty. Because frankly, I think that treason is punishable by death. If you actually are the linchpin in all this. Now, I'm not telling you what to do, but if I were you, I definitely wouldn't just be scrubbing the internet. I would be getting your butt in there and having a conversation with the feds, with the Department of Justice. But
so in this video, he talks about the security, the issues with, he does, in other words, what he's saying is that there are ways to access the software through
Well,
back.
who is he talking to? Who are these people in this room? Is this like some
People
city
that,
hall or something?
Update predicted. This was in front of, I think it's Illinois, one of the city councils there, or one of
So
the.
he's like doing a pitch for his.
Yeah, it's a pitch. It's a
sales pitch. Okay.
And
Okay.
his sales pitch lasts all of 45 seconds. That's the dude right there.
There, that guy. That little worm.
He's got him a little hairdo. He's a quick little interview, blah, 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 blah. Ain't got much to say. And then he goes about his business. This is, I mean, it's one of the, I mean, look how fast the pitch is. And then watch, he promptly walks the hell away. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of how they work, though. They run about 10, 12 people through there like that. They only have a few minutes, I think a few minutes of a pitch. I
think he's the only guy doing a pitch, period. He's the only option.
Maybe. Anyway, get off of that dude.
Okay,
yeah.
So Eric Coomer, long story short, this guy, he has a big manifesto, and I'll plop that up there on the screen, a big, gigantic manifesto. This dude, Eric Coomer.
Eric Coomer has like some kind of manifesto?
Yes, and I'll pop it up on the screen here soon. And what he says is that
Join Dominion as Vice President of Engineering.
We found it. It's going to pop up here. It's one of these articles. I'm at the bottom of this one. So Eric, if I can't find it, I'll put it up on the screen. But basically, in long story short, it's a big manifesto. It's the Antifa manifesto, telling Trump all, you're a fascist, we'll never bow to you kind of crap. The same old stuff.
This is crazy, Jeff. This is a crazy layer, man.
So this layer goes even deeper. So if we go back and we look at the original,
I didn't even realize what I was doing. That's what's really sad. I was like, I'm not going to even talk about all this stuff, and then we ended up talking about all this stuff.
We're going to put together. Okay, so this original video of this guy here that we saw just the other day,
yeah, that guy. I remember that dude.
Okay, so this is 2001.
Right.
He's sitting here talking away. And this all connects back into these other goons. It's the stuff that's happening now. This is 2001. The guy clearly says in this footage that
I watched it.
He designed the software. Well, this is for people who don't know.
Yeah.
He designed a software, and there will be no possible way for you to detect if there was voter fraud or not. None. No possible way. Once it gets into that machine, you will never know the outcome of the vote. Especially if you have people down on the ground sullying the vote with this massive amounts of one person followed in on there for Joe Biden, the only person on the ballot. That's 150,000 in one place. And,
yeah, it was insane. It was like 95,000 in one place and only
99,000 in Georgia. 99,000 in Georgia. You have that.
How can that even be possible?
It's not possible. It's not legal. You know,
it is legal, but it's not possible.
No, it's not probable. It's improbable.
It's very improbable.
It is improbable.
Unless somebody's just going around checking the top box and hauling ass. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like dirty fishing.
Yeah, but if all of them have the same signature, the same handwriting.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to determine right now. I believe there's a hand count going on supposedly in Georgia right now.
Yes. So swinging back to this character here. Okay. So he proclaims that he can make this software.
Mr. Curtis, would you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Clinton Eugene Curtis.
And where do you reside?
Tallahassee, Florida.
And what is your profession?
I'm a computer programmer.
Would you please speak into the microphone so the audience can hear your testimony?
I'm a computer programmer.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes.
How do you know that to be the case?
Because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I worked for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
And when you say did just that, it would rig an election?
It would flip the vote 51-49 to whoever you wanted it to go to and whichever race you wanted to win.
And would that program that you designed be something that elections officials that might be on county boards of elections could detect?
They'd never see it.
Mr. Would you answer that question once again?
They would never see it.
So how would such a program, a secret program that fixes the election, how could it be detected?
You would have to view it either in the source code, or you'd have to have a receipt and then count the hard paper against the actual vote total. Other than that, you won't see it.
All right, Mr. Curtis, if you had been asked, you or others with your professional expertise had been asked to design a protected program that would protect the Ohio elections from against such software to fix the election, could you have done so?
If we've been asked to make a program that can fix the election, sure, anybody can do it.
No, could you have designed a program or a procedure or a protocol that would have protected Ohio against this kind of rigging?
No, you have to look at the source code. You have to get probably programmers from both or all parties to look at the source code and determine if there's anything in there that shouldn't be there. I mean, it's a simple program. You're adding 1 to a person's total. It's 100 lines of code tops.
All right. Are you aware of whether there was any protective action in Ohio against this kind of vote rigging through software?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
You were not asked to assist in the development of any protective system. Is that correct?
No, I was not.
In Europe, have you reviewed at all the election results in Ohio?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Given the availability of such vote rigging software and the testimony that has been given under oath of substantial statistical anomalies and gross differences between exit polling data and the actual tabulated results, do you have an opinion whether or not the Ohio election, presidential election, was hacked?
Yes, I would say it was. I mean, if you have exit polling data that is significantly off from the vote, then it's probably hacked.
And your testimony is under oath?
Yes, sir.
And the testimony you've given is true?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Who did you say you were asked to prepare?
I was asked by Tom Feeney. He's now a congressman. At that time, he was Speaker of the House of Florida, Yang Enterprises, which was the company I worked for, lobbyist, and their corporate attorney. He wore a lot of hats.
And at the time, he was the Speaker of the House of Florida. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Congressman, you say he was the lobbyist for the voting machine company at the same time he was Speaker of the House?
I don't know what the voting machine company is. He was a lobbyist for Yang Enterprises. We had NASA contracts and
Yang Enterprises did what? Computers?
Computers.
Okay, and he was your lobbyist, your company's
the lobbyist for that company, yes.
And he asked you to design a code to rig an election.
Yes.
While he was Speaker of the Florida House.
Yes.
This was during or previous to the 2000 election?
Yes, October into September.
And did he ever express why he wanted a code to rig an election?
No, I immediately assumed that they were trying to keep you guys from cheating them. So I wrote up the documentation of what you would look for in the source code, how you would make sure that you didn't get, taken advantage of, make sure that all voting machines had receipts, because that way you could back count the ones that looked a little funny. And I handed it.
By receipts, you mean a paper trail?
Yes, paper trail. And I handed that in to Mrs. Yang and said, here's your report, here's your program. And she said, you don't understand, we need to hide the fraud in the source code.
Hide the fraud, not reveal the fraud.
Not reveal the fraud, because it's needed to control the vote in South Florida, was what she said.
That's what she said. To your knowledge, was this used?
I have no idea. I was ready to leave, so I retired and left the company.
Your testimony a moment ago, I think you said just before you left in answer to Congresswoman Tubbs-Jones' question, would you just repeat what you said in terms of the exit polls?
Oh, the exit polls should not be significantly different than the vote.
And if they were, you would conclude what?
I would conclude someone's playing with the vote.
Now with the exit polls?
That's possible too.
Okay, I was going to ask why
something is definitely skewed.
Something is skewed in one or the other or both.
Right. To select which one, you'd have to see where the problem is.
Let me ask you one further question. Assuming for the moment that such software, that's what you call it, such software to rig a vote was used in one or more machines in Ohio or in Florida, could you today detect that if you looked at the source code?
If you could get the machines and they have not been patched yet, I mean, once they get in and touch them, anything can happen. You can also set timers to do that, but then you see the timers. Then you'd have to take those machines, decompile them, which I couldn't do, but possibly a Microsoft, an MIT, something could do. You might be able to see it.
You might.
Not necessarily. Depends on how good they are at destroying what they had.
Destroying what they had by tampering with the machine afterwards, or by programming a destroy instruction in the first place?
Right, because since you didn't...
Either or both?
Either or both. You didn't actually see what's in there, so you don't know if the code is running in a single executable or running in various modules. If it's running in modules, you can make the code actually eat itself.
Let me ask you one further question. I've been told that people who assume that lots of the election results, or that a large fraction of the election result in any state may have been affected by deliberate fraud in the computer, are paranoid, because in order to do that, you'd have to have access to thousands of machines, and that would be readily detectable. To what extent is that true?
It depends on the technology you use. If you did a central tabulation machine that fed in, all you'd have to do is set a flag. You set a flag, the central tabulation machine would then flip your vote.
So one person putting in bad code in a central tabulation machine could affect thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of votes.
Right, and you could activate either automatically, or you could make it so that there's code existing on like an electronic machine that feeds it, where you would punch it in, it would set the flag, the server would see the flag, and then...
And if you had a recount, and there were no paper trail, would that be, assuming that had happened, would that be revealable by seeing a discrepancy between what the central tabulator showed and what the individual machines, which had not been tampered with, showed?
Not if I wrote it.
Why not? In other words,
I would make it match.
You could work back from the tabulator to the individual machines, so that the tabulator would tell the machines to switch their results?
Yes, it talks both ways. You can flip it to whatever you need.
And they actually do talk to each other, the machines and the tabulator.
As long as it's networked together, they can talk to each other.
So in other words, there is absolutely no assurance whatsoever on anything with regard to these machines?
Absolutely none, unless you look at the source code and make sure it's safe before it goes out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman Mathers. I know that Congresswoman Waters has a question, then Senator Miller, and then Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones.
This will only take a moment if you would come back to the...
I'm new at this.
As you know, there has been a lot of discussion about, I think it is Diebold company, their relationship to the president and the administration, and supposedly comments about helping to ensure that the president was reelected. In your world, in your environment, have you heard any of this kind of discussion? Do you know people who vote for Diebold? Do you have any sense of any actions that may have been taken?
I don't know anything about that at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Senator Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sir, I suspect people will attack you in terms of your credibility. Could you restate once again your credentials?
I'm a programmer. I worked for NASA, worked for ExxonMobil, worked for Florida Department of Transportation, and other elements of my story, because this company, well, let's get into it. Why not? This company also, they have NASA contracts, and they were basically downloading tons of information, I mean gigabytes worth, and handing them off to this little Chinese guy named Henry Nee, and it didn't seem right, and he was hacking things, and I wrote a program for DOT that allowed contractors to send their information into DOT, and he was kind of the quality assurance guy for software. He put a wiretapping module in the program that went out to the contractors so that it actually sent everything they sent back to Yang. So I reported all this, and just last March, I think, he was arrested for attempting to send anti-tank missile chips to the capital of Communist China. So, if that's correct, this is such a small thing. Of course, I think he only got a $100 fine. And no time.
Thank you. Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones.
So Maxine Waters sitting there. Somebody got a picture of her funky mother there. She sits there. She's talking. So she's present at the video. So we know that she's there.
So what? She's at a hearing for the Senate. She is in the Senate.
Yes, but then at that point, she knew in 2000 that there was the ability to create a software that could flip your votes,
right?
No matter what, and you can not detect it. She connects all the way back in. Well, she's bragging about this database that was created, and this is the ultimate database, and it was soon after this that this gentleman came forward, Dennis Montgomery.
Right.
And Dennis Montgomery worked with Arpaio and
yeah. And they discredited all these guys. This was back in during the who was Kerry Obama thing. Wasn't it Kerry that ran against him?
Yeah,
Obama and
it could have been
Romney side. You know, I remember
Obama phone lady. I'll find a picture of this dude. So images.
You need to get you an Obama phone.
They want to show a picture of this man's face. Let's go here. Dennis Montgomery. So in 2015, Mr. Dennis Montgomery.
Clapper, I mean.
This Mr. Montgomery here, where's he at? This is Dennis.
Oh, man. I remember this guy.
This is Dennis picture. This guy right here. This is the Montgomery we're looking for. He looks a little bit older in this video. Or this image or whatever. But is that the same guy? Is that him? Anyway, Dennis Montgomery.
There's a lot of Dennis Montgomerys.
Yeah, he's the one who created. Dennis Montgomery created the Hammer and Scorecard program in 2003 for George Bush Jr. So, coming full circle around.
What's Jerome Corsi saying down there? I hadn't seen anything out of him.
I'm not sure. So
I didn't pay attention to that guy. He kind of fell off the map with that.
So in this article, you're going over. I'm zoomed on back here. This is November 7th. This is November 7th, 2020. Okay, the Hammer Scorecard smoking gun. You know, this is 150,000 Michigan presidential voters did not vote for Senate. Okay, so this election here is now an uncertifiable election.
I heard something about this earlier. I'm not sure how far that's going to go. There's this whole county, right?
Yes, the whole county there, it's uncertifiable. So
They just said they would certify it.
Hold on.
As long as there's an audit of all the discrepancies.
If there's an audit of all the discrepancies, they'll certify, but they haven't certified it yet.
From what I saw, there was the two Republican members refused to certify.
One of them caved, Jeff Lacey said.
That's hogwash.
It is hogwash.
But under the stipulation that
that there would be a full audit.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just breaking news.
That's just breaking news. Okay, that's outstanding. So, okay, over here in this article, we see here for the answers to who Dennis Montgomery is he, we return to the Hammer and Scorecard. This is a system used by the CIA as well as the Obama administration in 2012 to change voting totals during transfer.
Who's saying this, though?
This is the gentleman right here, Dennis Montgomery. Congressional testimony by Dennis Montgomery in 2015 states that Joe Biden and Barack Obama used the system in 2012 to secure a win in Florida. Biden knows the system well.
He put together the biggest fraud system that's ever been seen. He said it out of his own mouth.
He said it himself, and I'll find that clip too.
So, the biggest fraud ever been made, or something like that. You know,
it connects back to the Maxine Waters. It connects back to this 2003 to 2000 election. It all goes back.
It's hard
and they
to
have
fucking
known
believe. It really is, man.
And
But,
she talks about the
right there in front of
responsibility
your
of the
face.
person who would be handed down this power.
Yeah. And that's why they were so, that's why Hillary Clinton was so pissed, because they didn't know, they didn't think Trump would get near the votes he got.
Yes.
They didn't
So,
rig it enough.
This one article, he talks about, he in his congressional testimony, he said in 2015, he changed the election. I found another article here somewhere also that gives a statement by another person who said he was in the, and basically as like a third person said, I saw Clapper tell Dennis Montgomery to go into this room and change the voting elections,
Wow.
tabulations in Florida.
I believe it, man.
And
I
at
think
this point I do
I
too.
was just I was a completely different person then, man. Isn't that crazy? Like,
Yeah.
during that election, I never would have thought that would have happened in 2012. And I was pretty far down the rabbit hole. But
Yes.
now I look back on it, absolutely. It does. It makes
Absolutely.
sense in the world.
And what they're finding is this company, through the Sidney Powell, the attorney, she's found out through their affidavit from a former Venezuelan officer
Yeah.
that he was in meetings with Chavez and the Dominion executives, same ones who worked this election, because they can't just hand this equipment off to the citizens. This is something that you don't understand. These Dominion workers are there orchestrating this happening. They have their worker bees on the ground. They have their top guys on the ground down here. So they're not, so they in the Venezuela, they did the same thing. This officer went down and said everything that happened, the vote in certain areas was not looking good for Hugo Chavez. They would stop the voting at that point, tell everybody to leave. And then when everybody left, they would secretly start counting, and they would secretly update the machine with a glitch.
Same
like everybody
thing.
screaming, it's a glitch. It's actually an update, just like they saw the witness they have an affidavit in Detroit who
Right.
saw the man put a thumb drive into the machine, and when she asked him what he was doing, he said, "Oh, I'm just running an update." That is illegal. That is illegal by the testimony of the original guy, Eric.
Well, look, man, when it all comes down to is this lady, this lawyer, she says she would never say this if it wasn't true, but she's going to bring this whole thing down. So,
yeah, and this is not just to do with the United States now. This what she's saying, the implications of this is that this was done in the Philippines. This was done all across South America. We're
crazy.
talking about Venezuela. We're talking about other countries, scores of other countries, the Philippines.
they're just basically pay whoever paid them the most money, basically, kind of thing.
Yes.
And they're just bringing in leftists for the most part, it looks like.
Yes, and they're rigging people's elections, and when they rig their elections, they bring in this hardcore autocratic, despotic, socialism, totalitarianism, whatever you want to call it.
Why are these people doing this, you think?
Why are they doing this? Because you want to know why? Because of this one dude right here.
Oh, is it the Queen?
No, it's the Queen.
Georgie Soros?
The Queen, George Soros ain't shit.
Okay.
This guy is Klaus.
Oh, that guy.
Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab. He's running the whole thing.
A lot of anger already now, but probably increased by the end of the year, because this crisis will be with us until we really have found a remedy. So we have to prepare for a more angry world.
The World Economic Forum.
Yeah, that
He
guy.
is- if
He
you look
looks
at
like
the-
an evil character. I heard a lot
I
of people
watched
say
the
it.
videos with this dude.
I did. I watched him. He's insane.
He is
No
the most
private property. They want to get rid of all private property and then put us all beholden on the government tit. And I'm out. I want to make my own freedom and my own freaking choices in this world. I
Do
don't
you
need a
know what
freaking
his slogan is?
Huh?
Do you want to know his slogan for the World Economic Forum?
What is it?
Build back better.
Yeah, I've heard that.
What's Joe Biden's slogan?
That's
Build back
Biden's
better.
slogan as well. Yep.
Yes. Because he's
No,
lost-
dude, you're preaching to the choir on that stuff.
I
man.
know.
People
But
are
people
so
need to know
insane.
this. People need to understand this. This guy, Klaus Schwab, in 1971, created the World Economic Forum. And just like all these other little
Here,
round
put us
table
full screen again, Jeff. Take this off.
Okay, there, this swankity dude.
Ah, swamp. Hey, dude, we need to do that little cutout thing we were talking about with him.
Swamp.
We definitely, you got to take that picture right
Mhm.
there. We're going to do that thing we were
Yes.
talking about. Oh, hey, Jeff, by the way, on a different subject a little bit, what is the deal with this THC 8 or whatever that's out on the market? Have you heard about this?
Like with the number 8?
It's like a version of THC that's legal. People are smoking it like in cartridges and shit in these vape shops.
We're gonna have to look into it.
All right, we'll look at that later. Anyway, yes, this is a crazy world, and I damn sure don't have all the
world.
answers.
This guy Klaus Schwab, he's a creepy guy, and there's a lot of people who are catching on to these dudes. You know, he's just another kingmaker. He's a guy behind this. He's a guy behind the curtain. Another guy behind the curtain, just like Bill Gates is standing next to him. They all meet up together, and that's why you got this cat like Jack Dorsey over there. He's scraggly beard. You see how mentally deranged this guy is?
Yeah, I saw him today. I looked at a little bit of Ted Cruz talking to him today.
Do you see the stress on this dude?
Oh, it's insane. Hey man,
He's about to, he knows. I think he's on the verge of suicide.
He may be.
I think that these cats like these Klaus Schwab.
I don't know. I just think he's on a lot of that DMT shit. They microdose. All those guys are constantly microdosing mushrooms and shit, dude.
Well, it ain't a microdose, whatever he's on.
No, I think he's
like
on the macro. He's on the macro.
He looks like Rasputin.
Yeah, he looks a lot like Rasputin. That's crazy.
He really does.
I never really paid attention to it until you just said that.
He's a very similar character to Rasputin. You know, Rasputin controlling all the information.
Maybe it is Rasputin.
He's the modern day Rasputin.
Maybe it's not. Maybe that Rasputin never died. He was hard to kill. They said they found his body wrapped up in there, but that might have been one of them people.
Hey man, they tried to kill that sucker.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's one of my favorite stories. I'm sorry, the guy was a sorry bastard, but man, there's no better hard to kill story than that story. Read the story of Rasputin if you've never read it, folks. It's
what a devilish dog.
He was a devilish bastard, but he was hard to kill. He was way harder to kill than Bruce Willis, I can tell you that.
He's a legend, man.
Oh, he is. He's a legend to me.
He's up there with Vlad the Impaler, man.
I mean, he's up there with Nasty.
He is. He's like a real deal, like scary man. Scary human being. Him and Charles Manson and
I don't know about Manson, man. Manson was a guy that took advantage of an opportunity, I think, more than anything else. He's not quite the same kind of cat. He wasn't like extra human in some way, like where he was just, could drink poison and survive and shit like that.
That's not what they thought, though.
What, who thought?
The people who crucified Charles Manson.
They didn't crucify him. What are you talking about?
You didn't know that Charles Manson would make them have these crucifixion ceremonies where he was crucified as Jesus Christ, and they were on acid, and he
put nails through his hands and everything.
Who knows what they were doing? They were on some heavy duty stuff, man.
I never heard that story. No.
Yeah, they thought he was the second coming of Jesus Christ, dude.
Well, I'm saying that people thought that, but it's not true.
No, hell no. Of
He
course.
didn't have any kind of super dimensional powers like goddamn Rasputin is all I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Rasputin was on the next level of something, man. I don't even know if he was human, man. That dude.
Yeah. Manson's still alive, though, ain't he? Is he still alive?
Did he die? Did Manson die, baby?
I would know about it.
I thought I heard he died a couple of years, maybe a year or so ago.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think he died.
Come on, no, thank you. I don't think he did.
Google it. Google it. Why are you fact checking, Jeffrey?
I'm gonna look it up. I want to know. I mean,
the results are contested by you, Jeffrey. He died in 2017. Lacey's faster than you.
Yes, yep.
Oh.
I just didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
My hero. Yeah,
by nanoseconds.
Man, what a freaky dude. I was just kind of blown away at the creepy pictures. Every time you look at this guy, 83 years old, he died at 83.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a freak! What a freak!
There's a lot of freaks out there, man. Most of them are still roaming this. Well, not most of them, but a lot of them are roaming the earth right now.
Yeah. Yes, they are. A lot of them are just
I met a strange bird today, man. I thought I got the creeps from. I rarely do. I meet a lot of
that?
people. He was just on the spectrum or something, I guess. He just he came in the real late in the evening, and he was just he had poor social skills, and it made me nervous.
I see. That's the kind that do
It was
flip out.
awkward and unpredictable. I didn't like the way he was.
The kind of end of the day kind of dude, like I'm casing it out kind of thing. Or
No, I don't think so. But at the same time, he could be doing a deep con kind of thing too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm skeptical, man. I'm a skeptical guy.
Do you think he could have been a company man?
No, I really think that he was just.
How do our employees deal with uncomfortable customers?
Honestly, now that was with him for a while, I think he was an autistic dude that was trying to buy a car. I mean, he's a nice guy. Well, nothing wrong with him. He just
good service.
It was just at a weird time of the day and that kind of thing. Nothing wrong with the guy. He was a nice guy. He didn't do anything outlandish. He was just strange.
Really strange. Really strange. But yeah, man, strange times we're living in. These people that we're dealing with in this world. It's almost as if like I saw a comment where somebody was like, "Why would they put out that information? These are lawyers we're talking about. They save evidence for the trial." So I'm sitting there thinking, "Well, let's actually take into consideration what is this?
Yeah, I think they are I think they are compiling information still. I really do think
there's some stuff behind the scenes that they are not telling everybody.
Absolutely not. They're not gonna.
But this thing is
how I think until they get to trial, buddy. And when they do, I really think they're going to have a strong case because I'm seeing so much anecdotal stuff on the surface here, and
everywhere,
and just ridiculous amounts of mathematical freaking anomalies,
impossibilities.
Yes, if you look at the math of it, it's just like there's no way.
There's no possible way.
That's all I got to say about it. Like I said before, we don't have any control over this.
Well, I mean,
I think we got a firm base of knowledge of what happened for the most part, and all we can do is just watch the dice roll at this point, man.
Well, we've got affidavits from people. There's a lady in Detroit.
There's a pile of evidence. I'd say we got about a 60-40. I'd say we got about a 40-60 chance of this all going down. I used to say it was like a 10% chance.
Well,
40%.
What about Nevada? What about Nevada?
I know Nevada's looks like they found all these votes on a memory stick that didn't.
No, they just qualified the votes.
I don't know if they completely. They disqualified some of
them. Found an inconsistency in the race.
Hold on. Voted in another state. It was 15,000 votes of people that had voted twice.
This is another instance. They're disqualifying a race between two councilmen or district as another position.
Yeah,
but you see, Trump is on the ballot too. That's 150,000 votes.
Yeah.
That if they're all on the same piece of paper and they disqualify the other vote, say that's an inconsistency in that
completely. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff like that, man, and I don't know. I really feel like he got the votes to win. I feel like in all these states. I mean, you can look at the crowds that people were drawn. Like millions of people were coming out to the Trump rallies, and like 30 would come to the Biden rallies. I've seen like driving around, and don't get me wrong, even in Colorado though, when I was driving through Colorado, man, don't get me wrong, I was in some back roads, but it was Trump everywhere, dude.
Exactly. Now this raid that they had, I've already seen about 3 or 4 different individuals from the Trump camp say and confirm that there was a raid of server. It was in Germany. They first went to Spain looking for them, I think, and then they found out that they had moved the servers to Germany, Frankfurt, Germany.
Okay.
So that's real deal. That did happen.
And supposedly those hard drives have the actual data on it, and
that's what they're saying. And from the maps that they keep posting up, Trump got over 400 electoral votes.
Right, that's what I heard too. Like he won more states, even California and shit.
Even California, and that's what I keep on thinking back to. Well, I've actually looked into the inconsistencies in the California voting, and there's a big outcry over there as well because Gavin Newsom, his race also switched several 100,000 votes mysteriously in the middle of the night.
Are you serious?
Give him the you are dang right.
Yeah, because Newsom was hated. Everybody in California hates that guy.
So that's a crooked election over there. There's people who are living in tent cities.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles and in Beverly Hills. And the videos, if you haven't seen them, you can drive for 15 minutes through the city and there's nothing but just tents on either side of the road. Just tents.
I saw it. Skid Row, man. It's horrible.
And there's huge.
There's places like that in Austin right now, Jeff.
Yes.
It's sad.
Yes.
I see it every day almost.
People would want to vote for this shit. Do you think that they would want to keep voting like this in Harrison, where some people, top vote organizer here in the state of Texas is under felony investigation right now? I busted that stuff up. We busted that open a few episodes back. Y'all watch that. It'll show you. It's right there that Biden intentionally cheated this election. He knew all along, every bit of it. And while he's in his basement,
sad, man. It really does. It makes me sad because the integrity of the entire country is going to fall apart because of this.
This man didn't campaign. You know what he spent his energy on? You know what he spent his energy on? He hid in the corner back in a dark hole somewhere, and he calculated every single person he could possibly get to put into an important position to help him cheat this election in every possible way that they could dream of. They sat down, they had a boardroom meeting after boardroom meeting about, okay, you come
and don't give up no matter what, and all that stuff.
The system, and you can cheat the system, and they all work.
You can drive around and gather votes over here, and I believe
that's why he's walking out of the plane waving at nobody. I don't have to worry about crowds. I don't have to worry about people. We got this in the bag.
And he got more popular vote than Obama did.
Right. Exactly.
The most popular votes ever. And he's just one of the most candidates you would ever.
Somebody who's bought and sold to the plantation will tell you, well, the reason that is because of all the mail-in ballots, which are rife with error after error after error. I'm telling y'all.
Just like everybody said, just like we said before, this is a nightmare scenario.
These are just some highlights, some points. I was listening to Crowder. This is some of the highlights that I saw. This is just Georgia alone. Okay, so you got the Fulton County. I may have misspelled some words, but anyway, Fulton County. They found 2,600 votes
this morning
that added 800 votes to Trump's tallies. Well, they've actually found another one since then. I think it was 2,700 votes. Another on top of that. So then you go down here, the Republican poll watchers told to go home because of a leaky pipe. Okay, so the leaky pipe, they were told, hey, there's a pipe leaking in this.
Dems kept voting in secret throughout the night. Unbelievable.
Yes, and after the leaky pipe,
they were counting.
They kept on counting. They waited an hour and a half, and the witnesses that stayed behind saw that the Democrats went in there in secret and kept counting in secret throughout the night. And they said this is a vote should be thrown out due to faith in the vote. Because if you don't have by law, if you don't have one of each party, one Democrat or Republican sitting there looking at it, then and have a chance to look at the ballot, then you don't have a fair election under their law. So and there's another one, rejection rate of mail-in ballots were only 0.04%. So mail-in ballots were only rejected 0.04%. I've seen some other statistics other than Crowder. He said the normal rate in 2016, previous election, was 5.7%, 77% rejection rate. I've actually seen it historically reach up to 20%. And he said the nationwide this acceptance rate of mail-in ballots was up 30%.
That seems insane.
So they weren't checking the signatures. They weren't looking at any type of typos or mimicked handwriting on multiple ballots. There was no Q&A. So this Georgia poll watcher, he called a lady 3 times in 3 minutes. He recorded it all, and that there was falsely claimed votes for Biden. They'd look at it. It was obviously a Trump vote, obviously for him, and they passed it on to the next person. They just didn't even look at it. They didn't even look at him. He called him 3 times in a row doing this in 3 minutes. And he said the only reason he had to step away was because he saw over to the left or the right, one way or the other, he saw somebody else doing the same thing. So he was like, saw him, and he watched him for a second. He saw him just like taking the ballot and just going one person. Each person was supposed to do all this checklist on each one, but he watched them. They were just taking the second person, they would make a mark and just throwing it in the envelope as quickly as possible. So he went over there and said, hey guys, y'all need to be examining these votes a little bit more. And in between that time, the girl complained. And then the managers come in from the back, and they started saying that he overheard them saying at one point that the lady who was causing the trouble, I'm a taxpayer, and these taxpayers are paying me to do this, and I had this asshole looking over my shoulder. And so he goes back over there beside the lady. She acts all like, looking at each one of them, like looking at him like she was rude. And then when he goes to walk away, he looked over his shoulder at the lady. She's just like giving him this go to hell look. And so her and several other groups of people in the room ganged up on this guy. And the manager in there he was just like standing there way up across the room, and was basically like making him go further and further and out of the room, pretty much. Basically pushed him out. And just think about that. 3 votes in 3 minutes. Now, that's a vote a minute. That's how long it usually takes. It will possibly take about work per ballot.
Yeah, it could go quicker. If they get a call in, they need to go quick. I mean, I'm just telling you, they're all on the take, man.
So all these people in this room are miscounting the ballots in the recount. This is the recount he's talking about. This isn't the first count. This is the recount they're doing right now. Wow. So there's no faith in that. Damn. On top of that. So this is just a few little highlights also from Crowder.
All right, man. Well, I'm getting tired. I guess we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, this oldie. We'll take up at this guy here at some point. He worked with the other guy, the hammer scorecard and all that crap. So
Chicago Black Sox. Yeah, that was the year they threw the freaking.
This 3-star General McInerney. Nobody remembers the Chicago Black Sox, but that's what the Democratic Party is going to be. He's big time, top 3-star general. He's up in it. He was part of the other operations in foreign countries with these other guys groups. He knows it. He's done it. He helped the United States. He's helped the CIA work these banana republics, just like Smedley Butler warned us and all this.
Yep.
Really, banana.
Well, that's the truth, man. That's not like this is unprecedented. Just like you said, they do the same thing in Venezuela. They do the same thing in third world countries all the time. The CIA and other intelligence groups all throughout the world will manipulate elections, and there's a mountain of evidence that happened right here in the United States this time. All right, well, I'm going to sign off, Jeffrey.
All right, man. Well, have a good night,
man. We're going to send this over. We're going to get this out. Check out TexasOutlawCBD.com, Encapsule.com, and DaltonDesigns.com. DaltonDesignsOnline.com, excuse me. Yeah, the other one's a yacht builder that took Dalton Designs. Architect. That's right. He's an architect. All right. Well, have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night.